Hello, everybody. Thank you for clicking on. It is Doofus After Dark. This is kind of the pre-show. Chris is going to join us at 9. That's when we get into the World Sit Rep. And want to thank everybody for clicking on, not going away. Thank you very much in the chat. I'm going to drop the link for Chris before I forget. So it is up there near the top. And again, thank you all for clicking on. We are starting out tonight with Jim Jordan. The reason we're starting out with Jim Jordan is because tomorrow at noon, according to reports I've been getting anyway, noon tomorrow, they're going to start taking votes on the Speaker of the House. And Jim Jordan is going to be the Republican face of that vote. Hakeem Jeffries will be the Democratic Party, the person put up to be Speaker of the House. And it'll be very interesting to see what happens. Now, those that have forgotten, in July of 2018, several former wrestlers accused former head coach Russ Hellickson and current U.S. Representative, then assistant coach Jim Jordan, who was an assistant coach at OSU, Ohio State University, between 87 and 94, of knowing about Richard Strauss's alleged sexual abuse, but failing to take action to stop it. So ever since he was elected by the people of that district of Ohio, it's been under questionable conditions. Now it's a little bit different. It's not just those people in that one district of Ohio that put him into Congress. Now he is going to be the representative he's going to be the face of the House of Representatives if he is the Speaker of the House. And he will be third in line to, as far as secession, should something happen to the president and vice president. So I would hope that the Republicans would do better than Jim Jordan, but they haven't. So now we'll see if some Republicans decide it's time to show people that there are Republicans that are serious about the crisis the United States is in on so many levels, and it's time to start working as a functioning body and join with the Democrats and make Hakeem Jeffries the Speaker of the House. That in itself would be rather historic. Second headline I've got: Putin is in China today and tomorrow. Last time Putin was in China, the 2 days later, Russia invaded Ukraine. It's called BRICS, BRICS. That is Brazil, Russia, probably Iran now more than India, China, and South Africa. It should probably be called CHURBS or something, because it's really China. China controls, you're going to have to answer to China regardless, and Russia's proving that and has proved it time and time again. Speaking of Russia, Kim Jong-un was in Russia with a secret meeting with Putin, and according to some, there have been containers. Okay, there have been shipment container upon shipment container going across the border between North Korea into Russia, as many as 10,000 shipping containers going from North Korea into Russia in what is normally a very rarely used, sparsely used rail passage link between the two countries. Speaking of railroads, 60,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate has been stolen or is missing from a California train that was on the way to the state of Washington. For those that forget, Timothy McVeigh used ammonium nitrate to blow up the Murrah building in Oklahoma City. other headlines we're going to get to with Chris. Um, Ayatollah Khomeini, the leader of Iran, is going to be addressing the country of Iran tomorrow. The defense minister of Iran and Vladimir Putin have both said that Israel boots on the ground in Gaza is a red line. It is a point they do not wish to cross. Surveillance on the Lebanon-Israel border has been shot out. Israel has evacuated 28 villages in northern Israel. The U.S. says to Israel to stand down against against Hezbollah, and that we will handle it. We being the United States. Anthony Blinken, Secretary of State, is in Israel now. He's been there today. Biden is supposed to be there the 18th and 19th. There's speculation that they're trying to talk Israel out of going into Gaza with a ground force invasion. I don't think Israel is planning on backing down from that. They amassed first around 300,000, now around 360,000 troops, tanks, and artillery on the border with Gaza. So we will just see if it is delayed until after Biden leaves. I don't know if he has that much impact. We will find out. He was on CNN, or I'm sorry, he was on 60 Minutes, and he made a comment yesterday that basically the way what he said basically was, we stand with Israel except when we don't. And we're going to be talking about this with Chris, and how potentially damaging as far as reputation wise, as far as we're in a pretty serious game of global chess at the moment. And we're going to talk about all of these things with Chris coming up here in about 20 minutes. In the meantime, I want to share something with you, if I can find it. Here it is. And I went out last Thursday. We went, Lori Arnold and I went to the Circle in downtown Indianapolis, and there was a pro-Palestinian rally and a counter pro-Israeli rally, both going on at the same time. And while I was out there, hang on, let me do this now. This worked in hang on. This worked in my rehearsal, but I'm not getting it now for some reason. Now let's see if we get it. Okay, hang on, please. Hang with me. There we go. This is what we want. And while I was there, a very impromptu interview took place. As you'll see, I was actually shooting what's can be called B-roll footage. I was just shooting without any kind of narration. I was just shooting the crowd, and happened to shoot a map. I found it interesting, and the man with the map struck up a conversation. He happened to be from Bethlehem in Palestine, and the conversation you're about to hear is probably something, well, I can just about guarantee you're not going to hear it anywhere else. And let me see if I can, hold on. I hit the wrong button. What did I hit? Hold on. My bad. I need to go here. Thank you for being with me. It wouldn't be a doofus show without some sort of small problem that we hopefully rectify relatively quickly here. Come on. I'm trying to get a file to open. There it is. All right, here we go. Hang on. Let me go back here. Again, Chris joins at 9 o'clock, and we're going to be talking about a lot of these things that we're about to share here. Right now, I hope. If I can get it to play. Well, no. Hang on, there we go. Hold on, let me get it playing, and then we'll share it. Let's try that. There we go, it's working. Now, yay. But my cue's messed up. So hang with me here. This was the march. They marched around downtown Indianapolis and came back to the square. And okay, we'll start right about here. And again, what you're going to be seeing is a very impromptu interview. I was just kind of scanning the crowd, as you can see, and it's a very informative interview, and I hope you'll enjoy it. It's worth a listen, in my opinion. Gives you a perspective of someone that, well, has skin in the game.
Very low, we can't get.
I'm hearing that the um, the volume is not good on the interview. So I'm going to run it through another process, and I'll do it as a separate standalone episode, or I'll do it Wednesday night in the pre-show um, before we have Chris up. In the meantime, we've got about 11 minutes or so before Chris, and what we'll do, I will just show you some of the things. Oh, okay. I said Putin was in China the next couple of days. This comes from the BBC News. I'm just going to show you some sources of some of the headlines I've already tossed out. Putin in China. Um, the unofficial is aiming to strengthen an anti-West coalition. Again, talking about BRICS, BRICS, Brazil, Russia, probably Iran, China, and South Africa. And let's see, here we go. Oh, all right, we got a commercial. Federal judge has issued, this is a headline I didn't get out. A federal judge has issued a gag order, a limited gag order against Donald Trump. This is in the uh, election interference case, not the documents case. This is the RICO case, I believe, and so we'll see. We'll see. My question about that is simply, how's it going to be enforced? Okay, this is a hard one. This comes from ABC News. Broken silence, hate crime shocks Illinois, echoes global unrest. There's a chill to the Illinois air, a palpable tension that lingers like an uninvited guest. It's a silence that speaks volumes, a silence born from a shocking act of violence that took place in a nondescript home rented by a Palestinian family seeking solace and security in the heartland of America. The morning of the incident started just like any other. Sun had barely risen above the horizon, painting the sky with hues of crimson. 6-year-old boy cruelly robbed of his life and his mother left fighting for her life, victims of a brutal hate crime. Joseph M. Zuba, their landlord, was the man behind the monstrous act. He was later charged with first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, and 2 counts of committing a hate crime. The motive behind his actions, a deep-seated hatred for Muslims, spurred on by the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas. So again, that was in Illinois, and sadly, probably the first of more than one of these kinds of stories that we're going to have to be sharing. Shifting over to the South Pacific, U.S. strategic bombers, a B-52 is going to land in South Korea at an airbase in South Korea this week. The last time a B-52 bomber landed in South Korea was never. It's never happened. I had reported earlier in the last week from on the ground that a B-52 bomber had landed in a base inside Israel. We got reports of more B-52s coming to that region. For those that don't get the power of the B-52, the B-52 is a nuclear bomber. It is such a staple of the United States Air Force. They've tried to get rid of it so many times, but it's just too useful. And it is a massive plane that is a deterrent. It is a massive sign of power, because we can deposit nuclear armaments Um, definitely to North Korea from South Korea with a B-52 there. We can deposit nuclear armaments definitely into Iran with a B-52 in Israel. Um, just one of these planes is a deterrent in and of itself. Um, why does this matter? Well, North Korea has threatened again the preemptive use of nuclear weapons against the United States and thus South Korea and probably Japan in response to undisguised military provocation. We talked about the aircraft carrier, talked about it last night's episode, the aircraft carrier that has docked in South Korea. Look at that as a floating airport. All right, it's a floating air base basically, because of the firepower. We showed the pictures last night of it coming in with all the planes on deck, full display um, of the fighting power that ship alone um, projects. Now we bring in a B-52. We've also brought in an Aegis destroyer. Now, what for those that don't know, the Aegis destroyer is it's an anti-missile destroyer. All right, it's like the Patriot missiles um, that are designed to shoot down other missiles. Well, that's what the Aegis does for the Navy. So basically, we have brought into South Korea. We brought in a floating military base, and we brought in a floating battery of Patriot missiles to detour North Korea from doing anything to South Korea. Our focus again is going to be on what happens in the Middle East. Our focus on the show, our focus as a nation, is going to be on what happens in the Middle East. But there are other hotspots um, that we need to be aware of, and I mentioned Russia. North Korean leader Kim Jong Un um, visited a construction site. This was back in September of 2023, but they had another meeting since then. Um, Russia is shipping, quote, hundreds of containers likely packed with North Korean armaments. Satellite images show. We've been talking about this for a while, and this came out 1 hour ago in Newsweek. So they're catching up with us um, as far as information. Okay. All right. Got a text. I want to make sure who it was. Anyway. Um, and do I have one more thing to talk about? I do. One more thing to share real quick before we get to Chris. Um, Groups calling for Gaza ceasefire during a DC rally. This comes from Now This News. Ford Fisher with News to Share was also down there. This group blocked the entrances to the White House temporarily for a while this afternoon. So I wanted to call attention to that. Um, again, we're 9 days out from when Hamas launched their attack against Israel. It's only been 9 days, and things have escalated and will continue to escalate. It's just a matter of when, in my opinion. And so we're kind of playing a waiting game um, because the domino that tumbles all other dominoes is going to be going into is going to be Israel going into Gaza. Um, and Chris is with us. Bring him up. Let's get this going here. Hang on. There we go. Good evening.
Barry, can you hear me?
I got you, man. You got me?
Yep, I got you. Am I clear?
You are clear. Nope. Clear and sounding good.
Great, great. So how are you this evening?
Well, I'm okay. I'm all right. How about
Good.
yourself?
Doing good, doing good.
A lot of serious stuff going on around the world.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Did you hear about the shooting in Belgium?
Um, I did. Uh, Let me see. A taxi driver, one other person was shot. A third escaped into a building or something.
I don't know about. Maybe this is a totally separate incident, but a guy shot two people in Sweden.
Okay.
I guess they were Israeli or whatever. I'm not sure, but he yelled Allah Akbar and shot these two people. Now, see, here's the thing: they could use that as a cover and try to blame the Arabs for that, you know, when in fact it's something completely different. So yeah, until I get some more information,
Good point. Yeah. It's
yeah,
who. Um, I don't know exactly where to start. According to Israeli Defense Forces, 199 hostages um, in Israel. They've got, or I'm sorry, in Gaza. They've got what they call the Gaza Metro, uh, a tunnel system underneath Gaza City. Do you have any kind of familiarity or knowledge about the Gaza Metro?
I have no idea. Matter of fact, it's the first time I ever heard of it. Keep
Okay,
bringing it up the
but
web.
but we but it's kind of almost a given that there are tunnels
Yeah,
underneath
of
Gaza
course,
City.
of course, and that was actually how Hamas was actually smuggling the weapons and doing other sorts of activities, unbeknownst to the Israelis, because everything was subterraneous. So,
And
of course, you could
more
always,
than likely,
yeah, you could
more than
always,
likely, that's where the hostages are.
right, most likely. But then there's a report today saying, hey, we don't even know if the hostages are alive. They're alive. Some of them are, it doesn't make sense to kill your bargaining chips, you know? So, um, yeah, yeah,
Unless unless you want some of the hostages dead and you blame it on Israeli strikes.
that's true as well, right? But from the last thing that I heard was that they're going to start releasing non-Israeli hostages. That's the
That's
last thing I
that's
heard.
probably a pretty good move.
Right, right.
Yeah. That's really the only I don't want to take a total defeatist attitude, but in my personal opinion, that's really the only way we're going to get any hostages back is if they decide to release them. We're not going
True,
to go in and take them back.
true. And the hostage rescue was 50-50, um, and actually it's a little bit more risky. It's a little bit more risky than 50-50, because um, if Hamas or whoever got wind that you were getting ready to do an operation, or even the surprise element fails, then those hostages automatically die. So that's
Yeah.
how it goes. And the, and there's
Um,
and there's multiple. I mean, there's 199 hostages, and they're being constantly moved. So that makes it
yeah.
even more difficult.
And I'm sure they don't, I'm sure they didn't group them together. We've got all the Americans in one group and all the Germans in one group. I'm sure it's a mixture of, small if small groups, if not individuals, or maybe even two or three, as far as where they're kept and how often they're moved. It's not all 199 aren't together in some big
Oh,
room
oh no,
waiting to be rescued.
no,
All right,
no,
just so everybody understands what we're talking about.
no. That's definitely not how it's going to be.
Yeah. Um, the U.S. evacuated, I think, 270 from the Haifa port. They rented a cruise ship and rescued some U.S. citizens and have transported them to Cyprus to be able to fly out back to the United States.
Yeah, I read about that, and yeah, well, we got 270, and they boated them out to Cyprus so they can come back to States.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, I mean, that's a drop in the bucket to the number of U.S. citizens that are actually in country.
Well, see, here's the thing. I really don't know what how many U.S. citizens are in Gaza, right? Um,
Hmm. But they can't get out, right? The ones in Gaza cannot get out.
yeah, not right now. I don't think so. You know,
Right.
I think if they were if they wanted to get out, the only real way they could get out is, of course, if they're U.S. citizens, then I mean they could
They're
easily.
not letting them cross they can't cross the border into Egypt. They're not letting the US citizens out.
They're stuck until
They're
someone comes
stuck.
in, until someone comes and
Yeah.
gets them.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
They are. Yeah.
so,
And
but what I can't understand is this: is if they told you to leave, why would you still stay there?
we're an obstinate bunch. The United States citizens, we don't like to be told what to do.
But
But
that,
I mean, come on now. That's
listen,
we got to put the common sense ahead of the arrogance.
yeah, I mean, if listen, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but
No.
if someone's telling me that we're gonna bomb this place and you have so many days to get out or whatever, why wouldn't you take that advice and just leave? I mean,
And
you have no ties there to Gaza. Yes, you may like the people or whatnot, but bottom line, you need to
you
leave.
can't help anybody if you're dead.
Exactly. You know,
You
so
just can't.
all this, I'm going to save the world stuff is that, hey, okay, dude, have fun, because realistically, it ain't gonna
Yeah,
happen.
I tried. It doesn't work. Um, 500,000 people supposedly have already come from northern Gaza into southern Gaza in anticipation of this ground incursion. Um, southern Gaza was already so tightly, densely populated. You're bringing 500,000 people, 500,000 new people into the area. Um, I've got to imagine conditions in southern Gaza are just horrific.
Of course, you're just piling more stuff on top of something else. You know,
Right.
so
Yeah.
it's just think about it. If they cut the water and electricity and all that stuff to the people in northern Gaza and then to southern Gaza as well, just think about what a big mess that is. Now you have like additional 500,000 people on top of the million or whatever. That man, listen, that you are looking at disease, all sorts of crazy stuff coming at you. It's just
Yeah.
one big mess. It really is. It really
The
is.
Secretary General of the UN said we are standing on an abyss as far as what's happening in Gaza.
Well, they need to do something. But Netanyahu's like this. Nah, Netanyahu's got him exactly where he wants him. You know that, right?
Yeah.
He's got him
Yeah.
exactly where he wants him, and he wants them.
And anybody that watches the live streams can confirm that the electricity is out all over northern Gaza except for the hospital. There's like one little pin dot of light in the middle of all of Gaza City, and then you could see Ashdod in the distance with all the lights just across the um, Gaza border in Israel. So you can see in the distance the lights of the Israeli city, and they're just vastness of blackness where there's no electricity at all uh, in northern Gaza.
Right. So I mean, it just Netanyahu's got him exactly where he wants him. It's like, all right, you're a bunch of trap rats, you know, and
Yeah, they really are.
and and
Um,
and now watch, I'm just gonna exterminate you all. That's pretty much. I mean, we discussed this before, but that's pretty much what he's gonna do. All right, what he's doing. He's gonna level. He's gonna level northern Gaza, and he pushed everyone out down the south, and then from there,
and
he's
then
gonna,
from there, you got to figure out how to get out of southern Gaza.
exactly, and that's another 1,500,000 people pushed to wherever. And if Egypt doesn't let them through, you see,
Where are they going to go?
and then on top of that, what did Netanyahu say? He's like, all the rules of engagement are off, right?
Yeah,
So you could just have
yeah.
all these people killed like that.
Sarin gas,
Sarin
just,
gas,
just
however you want to do it, you can do it. You see, because Netanyahu said all rules are off the table. You see,
what, Chris? What about the psychological impact of this on these most extreme of Hamas, the ones that they've basically been on guard since Saturday night at roughly sundown, which ends the official Sabbath, which is what most people are anticipating. As soon as sundown, the bombing starts. As soon as sun rises, the ground invasion started. That didn't happen. They were all up ready for it. They've been up and ready for it for 2 days now. Every day that it doesn't happen, does that give Israel an advantage? Because psychologically, the Hamas are are like always on edge. So if they let their guard down even a little bit, Israel comes.
right? So here's the thing. Um, you're not going to televise or say when you're going to do an invasion. Okay. Why would you tell your adversaries when it's going to come?
That's
You
what
don't
was
do that.
expected when they said you were giving you 24 hours to get out,
Right,
that in
right,
24 hours it was going to start.
right.
And it didn't. So is that psychologically impacting those that are waiting for it to come?
Um, yes and no. And
Okay.
here's the rationale. Um, they know it's going to come. Okay. Just because it didn't come that day, they're still going to be mentally prepared. Okay. Because they're like, all right, I got to be prepared. I got to be prepared to die. But when's it going to happen? Then the other side of that is all right, it's not going to happen today. Why don't we just attack them? You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
We instead of just waiting here for them to come and hit us, let's go hit them instead. You see? So we're
Hmm.
not just sitting ducks. Does that make
Could
sense
that
to you?
be what? Yeah, yeah, it makes perfect sense. And we're talking about Hamas at the moment. Let's shift north to Hezbollah. Could that
Oh,
be where Hezbollah is at now too? We're going to invade you before you invade Gaza.
well, I think Iran's actually controlling that one, and I really think they want to see where the incursion is going to go, and if the incursion um, gets like really crazy, really out of hand, um, then Hamas, or not Hamas, but Hezbollah will jump in and start hammering northern Israel.
But they're
Or
not going to jump in before Israel
no,
goes in.
no, no.
Israel, the incursion, the boots on the ground is the domino that tips all other dominoes.
Exactly, exactly. That's going to be all right. You put your foot down. You start killing more um, Palestinians. Then guess what? It's time for you to get killed too. That's kind of like how they're playing it. Remember, I told you how Muslims are. We talked about an eye for an eye, and in Arabic, it's like a line by line, listen, basin, wa mali Islam. So this stuff is very real. to the Muslim Arabic or to the Muslim countries. You're going to kill our people, then we're going to kill your people. It's an eye for an eye, and that's really how they see things. And I mean, okay, I mean, because I mean, nobody in their right mind is going to sit there and watch you eliminate a whole bunch of your brothers, and you're not going to do anything. You see,
Hmm.
that's just not going to happen. So, what I think is, which I already told you, we already discussed this, but the whole Muslim world is going to turn against Israel. Okay, the Muslim Arabic world and even just the Muslim world in general is going to turn against Israel because you're killing their brothers. You see. Now I don't know if you guys ever heard about the Nabka in Israel. It was kind of like this, where they started pushing all the Palestinians south, right, to,
Hmm.
I think it was to Gaza. I'd have to check my facts again, but this is something very very similar to this. Okay, where they started
It's
pushing.
when they kind of moved everybody to the Gaza Strip,
Yeah,
and they were either at Gaza or they were on the West Bank. The
right.
middle was all kind of okay. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's kind of like this, but now they're really um, cracking down to where they're going to exterminate them, unlike the napkin, So that's the only like real.
NAPCA. It was the NAPCA was kind of like similar to the Trail of Tears. We're moving you to a different location. We're not killing all of you. What they're planning now is to kill them all.
Yeah, exactly. And once again, that goes back to the entire Jewish state ideology, the belief that okay, it's only a Jewish state and no one else is supposed to be here. No Arabs, Palestinians are supposed to be here. Period. So that
That's Zionism.
right, exactly.
Okay. All right. I did that last night real briefly. The difference between being an Israeli, being a Zionist, and being Jewish.
Right.
And yeah, the idea behind the Zionism is um, it's one nation and it's just for Israel. It's just for Israelis and Jews.
Right. Exactly. And that's so therefore the Palestinians can't be there. Um,
Right.
so
The Jewish homeland.
right. Exactly. So they have to go.
Um, I mentioned the jihadi last night, the idea of
Hmm.
a person being a jihadi, and that's basically anyone who wants to commit jihad.
Hmm.
The the literal translation of jihad, the word is journey, correct?
Right. Or it's actually a struggle. It's a struggle within.
Struggle.
Right. It's a struggle within
Okay,
self.
but when people call for jihad, they're calling for people to make their journey into martyrdom, to give their life, taking the lives of infidels for the glory of Allah. Is that a
It
is
it
that a
it
correct
it,
definition?
it depends on what type of jihad it is. Now,
Okay.
if we talk about one's going to call it declare jihad, that's just an individual struggle. Okay, that's all it is.
Okay.
But in the context of what Khalid Mashal was saying, he
Yeah.
wants you to declare jihad on the Jews, on the Zionists and the Jews and the Americans, right? So that right there, that's a struggle between um, that group, and he was actually calling for martyrdom operations.
Right.
So we martyrdom operations is saying, okay, you're going to kill yourself, you're going to become shaheed, you're become a martyr, you're going to kill yourself for the cause. That's what it is.
Right.
You're going
Okay.
to kill yourself, because this is what's expected of you, to do your duty as a Muslim because you're killing other Muslim brothers.
What about the term infantada?
Infantile. I would have to actually go back and research that a little bit more. Um,
The students at UCLA University were calling for an infantada against the Jewish people.
Are you talking Infada? Like how the
Yeah, yeah,
Palestinians?
yeah. I'm sorry. I was thinking. I'm sorry. I had evidently I had Mexican food on my brain. Yes, the Infada.
All right, so the Infada, like I said, I would have to even go back and research it a little bit more, like the definition and exactly what it was. But as you saw in the first, second, third Infadas in Israel, you saw how the Palestinians came out, and they're just kind of like fighting with them and trying to pretty much lay the law down to get back
Okay,
to
so
something else.
it basically uprising would
Right,
be
right.
the just rise up.
Right, right.
Would you call
I
for that?
just, I
Okay,
mean, you know what? Let me research it a little bit more because I don't want to give people the wrong information. You know,
sure.
and
Yeah.
then I think on Wednesday or Friday we can rehash that, revisit that.
Okay.
So I give people the correct information. I don't like giving wrong information.
Does Biden's presence in Israel preclude Israel from military maneuvers?
No, and
In your opinion, we're
no.
just speculating and
So,
analyzing here, of
so,
course.
so, so here's the thing, right? You heard Biden say today that he's bringing U.S. troops over to that
Yeah,
area.
that was the next thing on my list is that 2,000 troops have been told to prepare to deploy.
Right. So he was up there sitting there saying these are non-combat troops. They're going to be assisting with medical. So when they sit there and say these are non-combat troops, they're not going to be involved in combat. Whatever they say, just take the opposite, and that's what it is. So he's saying that these troops not going to be used in combat. Yeah, they are. That's exactly what they're going to be there for.
They're probably some of our tier one assets as they're termed, right? More
Look,
than likely, we
it
probably
could,
send in some of.
yeah, it could be some of our tier one guys, but yeah, yeah. Well, it could be just plain SF guys, tier two guys, some SEALs, some MARSOC, you know. But our tier one guys are pretty much do like the hostage rescue, and yeah, they do counterterrorism too. So it could be a mix of the both, you know.
Okay, Mama Red from the chat is saying I just happened to glance over, saying they're 4,000 now, 2,000 more going to a different area. So that's not really a surprise.
No,
That
it's just yeah, those
it's it's primarily a deterrent, but it's also um, a signal that we're not being naive that this can blow up and we're going to protect our assets
right,
if it does.
but here's the thing, right? Where have we seen this before, though? You see, where have we seen this similar incident like this before? What countries?
Well, a lot of different countries.
Right, but like Iraq, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Afghanistan,
Afghanistan, yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So so
We always send advisors in first. You can go all the way back to Vietnam.
right. So and did you see what Hamas had said? The I think it was the visual that they put up. They had like a jihadist with with his bandana or the thing around his head and the thing covering his face. And I was like,
Hmm.
yep. I said, where have we seen this before? It's like this. It's like a repeat of the same movie over and over again. So
Yeah,
we're gonna go in and we're gonna do the same thing we did in Iraq and same thing we did in Afghanistan. It's the same people. It's the same people,
good good point. We've all done this dance before.
right? And so don't be surprised, right? If AQ and ISIS actually jump into this thing,
Oh yeah, I'm anticipating them doing it. I'm
you know.
anticipating that happening.
So
Yeah.
it's gonna be one big shit show. It really is. You're gonna listen. You're gonna have Hezbollah. You're gonna have IRGC there, right? You might have some Syrian army, but then you have AQ and ISIS jumping in, helping the Palestinians. You see, yeah,
The
all
Muslim Brotherhood, the Islamic Jihad.
they're all gonna jump in and help help Palestine, help the Palestinians, help the
Can they get can they get into Gaza? Can they get into Gaza to fight the Israeli troops in Gaza?
the only way they could get in is like, what if Egypt let them in? You see,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
what if Egypt says, okay, go ahead, you know, opens up
Whew.
opens up the gate and go ahead, you know,
Yeah,
or they could easily start attacking, the Israeli ships if they do maritime operations. You see?
Chris, I had somebody email me um, after Friday night. Friday night we talked about Qatar threatening to cut off oil to the world. Um, Somebody emailed me and said, "What's the possibility of Iran bombing Saudi Arabia's oil fields to further cut off oil to the world?"
Okay, so here's the thing.
Because they're not friendly at the moment, but Saudi Arabia has made it really clear they're not doing anything with Israel anymore.
Right, right. So remember we talked about BRICS,
Hmm.
right? And a couple of shows ago we talked about OPEC and who controls OPEC is the Saudis, right?
Right.
Now today, I I think I sent you something that um, so our national security people were sitting up there
Right.
saying,
Right. That's where I was leading with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna bomb. Let's bomb Iran. Okay, you bombing Iran is
and
like,
cutting off and cutting off their oil. That's what our security people said. It's time for us to remove ourselves from Iranian oil,
and it's like,
basically.
yeah, okay, but you have to remember that all these countries, Iran, China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, are all going to be part of BRICS. You see, and you do that, then that cuts all our oil off. All of
Actually, I do have some news on that. Hang on just a second here. Um, nope. Hang on. Well, I thought I did. Um, I do. Here it is. Here it is, all the way down here. Um, Let me pull this up. Where's it at? Oil for Democracy. Um, this came in 9 hours ago. The U.S. and Venezuela have struck a deal. In the geopolitical chessboard, oil often serves as a pivotal piece, catalyst for change. Such seems to be the case with the recent agreement between the U.S. and Venezuela. Negotiations between the Biden administration and Maduro have led to a breakthrough that could ease the ongoing sanctions. The deal, as yet unannounced but confirmed by sources, is that the United States will lift certain oil sanctions, and in return, Venezuela will allow a competitive and internationally monitored presidential election in 2024.
Yeah, we'll see what happens as soon as we
Yeah,
get.
I'm just saying how real. That was my question. Is this a sign of hope for us, or is this just okay? All right, we'll agree to it, and let's see if we follow through on the agreement.
We're just gonna jerk our chain, because
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured.
I guarantee you, as soon as if we hit Iran and the prices of oil, those prices of oil are going to jump significantly. You know that, like,
Right. And every night on the show, I'm going to specifically remind people to top your tank off. Keep your tank full. because one morning we're going to wake up and gas is going to be 5 or 6 times what it was when we went to sleep.
Exactly. So, and we talked about the whole BRICS thing and how everyone's come together against the United States or against the West. Period.
All of the oil, all of the people that have the majority of the oil.
Right. And we've discussed this before in the past that all the people that have all the oil are in BRICS. You see,
Right.
where
Right.
China and Russia, man, they plot this out strategically. You see,
Hmm.
where I said they were playing chess and we're playing checkers. Well, here it is, because all they're going to do is sit there and go to Venezuela because Russia and Venezuela are still tight. You see,
Yeah.
and Russia and Iran, they're close. They're going
Oh,
to be close,
absolutely.
right? So what do you think they're going to say? All right, yank those ties with the United States. That's it. And what's Venezuela going to do? Okay. And then what happens to us? No more oil out of Venezuela. So don't get all
Right.
wrapped up.
We
Don't get wrapped up in us getting oil from Venezuela. That like they're just yanking your chain. That's all it is.
we've we've um, we've pursued a foreign policy of let's not use our own oil when we can get oil from other places. Is it time for us to really significantly start drilling and thinking about preserving, uh, thinking about isolationism, not because we want to be isolated, but because the world is going to isolate us and we need to be prepared for it.
Yeah, and so um, it's just like you said, we like using other people's natural resources before we use our own.
Right.
But eventually, we're gonna have to start using our own because I still think we're getting oil from like Nigeria and Somalia, and I forgot what other places we're getting oil from, but the big boys like Saudi, Iran, Venezuela, they're not on our team. You see, they're not on
Hmm.
our team, so we have to get some people that are going to be on our team um, for the duration. And I actually think I heard Nigeria was trying to join BRICS as well. So
Um,
uh, you, you really got to, be careful
we
and got to make friends.
we we need to touch base on Nigeria, because let me pop this up real quick. Uh, is it Atiku? Is that
Yeah,
how you say it?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Atiku, he is one of the presidential candidates that's
right.
contesting the election against
Okay,
all
he
our.
has replied to Tinubu on his Supreme Court argument about name discrepancies in his certificates. Can you just touch real briefly on the questionable some of the questionable things this Tinubu has done? That is, he's now president of Nigeria, and we depend heavily on Nigeria.
Okay, yeah. So Tinubu is the so-called elected president of Nigeria. But the reason this is being contested is one, his university certificate out of Chicago State University, um, the certificate diploma that he presented to INEC, which is the elections the election board in Nigeria was false. It was fraudulent. It was forged. And they're coming out with other evidence against him, saying that it was actually a female's that graduated from that university and not him. All right, but then I mean,
Yeah,
there's a whole bunch of discrepancies. Um,
there are there are like 25,000 pages of information that the State Department, the FBI, the CIA, um, the DEA
yeah.
all have on this guy. And we are saying now that we're going to release them 500 pages at a time to show people who this guy really is. We've been propping him up, haven't we?
Well, I can't say we've been propping him up. but at the same time, um, I remember Peter Obi had sat there and said, "Hey, look, it's the United States government. Why don't you wait until you hear we have the final ruling, the final who's actually the president of this country?" But the United States is like, "Oh, we're standing behind Bola Tinubu. He's the duly elected president of the country." Well, let me put it to you like this: this guy allegedly was involved in drug trafficking, okay,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so you have the fraud, okay, the forgery. Then you also have he didn't win the 25% in the federal capital territory,
Right.
right?
He didn't even,
So,
I mean, he didn't qualify according to the Constitution to be
right,
named president.
right. So I mean, he's got a whole bunch of things going against him. That's just three of the things that I know specifically. Um,
Okay.
so if what's really going to happen? Now, I already told you this. If the Supreme Court, because the presidential tribunal commission still kept him in there, all right,
Hmm.
instead of like I said, the smart thing would have been to do would have been to have a runoff election. Okay,
Right.
that'd been the best thing to do, but they didn't do that. That commission kept Bola Tinubu as president. So now you have all this other evidence coming out, and if the Supreme Court doesn't um, doesn't find or doesn't disqualify him, mark my words, by January or February, there will be a coup in Nigeria to get him out. I promise you. I am so
Okay.
sure that that's going to happen. Um, yeah, that's definitely going to happen. So,
What are the chances? Okay, we know this guy's shady, or it sure looks like this guy's shady. What's the chances of him bribing the Supreme Court?
you know what's Nigeria? That's it's all corrupt. So he's gonna try. And the matter of fact, there was just something on it. That, and you brought that up, and there was just something on it that he's trying to bribe the Supreme Court.
Yeah. Oh,
So I mean,
really?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
but honestly, that's kind of like how Nigeria works. You know, I
And
mean, we got
again, we get a bunch of oil from Nigeria.
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Nigeria is an ally, so and we get oil from them, so we want to keep them as an ally. You see,
Right.
so
Right. All right, man. Do you have anything else?
no, that's it. That's pretty much it, Barry.
All right. We'll do it again Wednesday night at 9.
Sounds good. I'll check you out then.
I look I look forward to it. Thank you, my friend.
Okay, you take care. Have a good night.
You do the same.
All right.
Um, there we go. That they kind of wrap things up here. 199 hostages, according to the Israeli Defense Forces. Um, U.S. evacuation by sea to Cyprus. The U.S. citizens are stuck at the Rafah crossing. That's the crossing from Gaza into Egypt that Chris and I were referencing earlier. United States citizens are stuck there. They're not able to get across. Um, Putin is in China. The potential for a lot of things to kick off all at the same time, whether they be orchestrated or not. Um, I think Putin's in China asking permission to do something, or letting China know he plans on doing something, whether it be trying to take the Balkans, whether it be coming into Poland, whether it be nuking, tactical nuke on Ukraine. He's there for some reason other than just bolster anti-West ties. Um, Kim Jong Un, he's threatening the United States, and we're showing force deterrent, um, with our carrier there and with our Aegis destroyer there, and bringing in a B-52 bomber, which has never landed in South Korea. So a lot of things that you know, um, make the world a really unsafe place. And while it would be really nice to just say, okay, well, we got somebody that's going to provide all the answers and all this is going to be solved and this isn't going to escalate. No dominoes are going to fall into other dominoes and things aren't just going to fall into a cataclysm. But man, we're so close to all that happening that it would be unwise to try to downplay the seriousness of our situations. And we find ourselves as a country without a Speaker of the House, without a really functioning House of Representatives, um, with a president who, God bless him, I hope he is up to what may be coming. And just my personal opinion, I'm not sure he is. So if you're a praying person, don't hesitate to pray a whole bunch for all of us. Um, if you're not a praying person and you're just a realist, prepare in your own way, but prepare basic preparations. Have 30 days of food on supply if you can. 30 days of food and water. Um, 10 at the absolute least. That's what it's going to take if we do get nuked, for the radiation to settle, no matter where the nukes fall. And again, not trying to be, we don't want anybody paranoid. We want you prepared, and keep your gas tanks full, because that will be one of the first things probably happen is oil prices shoot up. Um, and that's probably going to happen whether there is an incursion from Israel into Gaza or not. The incursion sure seems imminent. They got 360 troops around the border of Gaza on the Israeli side. Russia had about 150,000 when they invaded Ukraine, on the Belarusian side of the border before Russia came in. So it's a massive force that Israel has there, and it's not there just for show, in my opinion. I love y'all. Thank you, Mama Red. Thank you, not going away. Thank you to everybody out there. I saw True out there. I think I saw Echo out there. Let me run back up if I can. I don't know what the deal is. Sometimes I can. Here we go. Sometimes. Thank you, Lori Arnold. True. Anybody I miss? If I miss you, but this is my alt. What a great name. Intifada. Not infant fajitas. Or not infant frittatas. Yes, there we go. I was thinking of frittatas. Intifada. Thank you. And in closing here, if you happen to be watching and you are you're Jewish, or you happen to be watching and you're Muslim, if you're from Israel, or if you are from Palestine, or if you're from one of the Middle Eastern countries and you want to come on and talk a little bit, give us your perspective, it would be greatly appreciated. And feel free to reach out to me. The email is americandufus, AMERICANDUFUS @gmail.com. And I want to say thank you to those that have Cashapp to help keep the show going. It is greatly appreciated. I don't mention names on here because I don't know I don't know if people want other people to know. So heartfelt thank you to everybody that continues to help support what we try to do here. What we try to do is tell the truth and tell it in a manner that is accessible, so you can hear what we say and check our facts, and judge for yourself. Think for yourself. Please think for yourself. And one thing Chris said the other night was, I talked about 3 different situations I was in and how I felt, and the fact that I stayed calm in all 3 situations. no matter where you find yourself, stay calm. One of the greatest strengths is to be able to keep your wits about you when everyone around you is losing theirs. And we could find ourselves very much in that very situation. So, again, thank you for being here as always. Namaste, shalom, shalom, assalamu alaikum. Blessings from the Most High for those that want them. The one true living God. Blessings be upon each and every one of us that so desire them. Positive vibrations. Peace. Something that there's far too little of in the world at the moment, and it seems like going to be less and less of it, but peace. Love you all. Like chocolate chip cookies. Mean that for real. And for real. And we'll see you Wednesday night at 9 p.m. We'll see you tomorrow at noon. I'm going to be on your special edition covering the speaker's election and see if that's the cluster farg I anticipate it to be. So if you want to join at noon tomorrow, greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, we'll see you at 9 o'clock Wednesday night, I hope anyway. And I thank you all for being here. Love you.